Many thanks for staying with us. Let's now shift focus to some other issues, basically politics. The preparations by the political parties ahead of the November 22 governorship election in Ondo State is gathering momentum. The PDP had its own primary, primaries, I should say, because two people have emerged considering the leadership crisis rocking the PDP. One from the Senator Sheriff faction and the other on the faction of Senator Makarifi caretaker committee. But for the APC, well, the dust over the primary has not settled, though they don't have a factionalized leadership, but the house is torn apart right now in the aftermath of the exercise. Before the primary, one man raised an alarm about a planned imposition of candidate by the party leader and former governor of Lagos State, Bola Tinubu. The gist was that one of the aspirants, Mr. Segun Abraham, was Mr. Tinubu's anointed candidate. That man came second in the primary, with the winner, Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu, defeating him by over 30 votes. For some of the candidates, the stronghold of imposition in Ondo APC has been broken. Mr. Akeredolu, who was said also to be an imposed candidate, remember in 2012 when he came at a distant third up in the election, is now seen as a face of anti-imposition in the APC in Ondo State. Well, Mr. Akeredolu's victory is now being contested by some of the candidates who lost out. Some say the primary is the most corrupt process they have ever seen, while others say the election is far from a proper election. Well, let's talk about the issues now, shall we? The man who alleged that Senator Bola Tinubu planned to impose a candidate now joins me in the studio. Is Dr. Tunji Abayomi. Many thanks for coming on the program. Thank you. You said that Senator Bola Tinubu was going to impose a candidate. From what I've heard and seen in the process of the primary, that didn't actually play out. It looks like you were wrong anyways.
No, that was the intention, as at that time. It was based on a meeting held in his premises with the officials of the party in the state, and then with a direction or a directive to follow a particular aspirant and to work for that aspirant to emerge. And now all of that, in my view, is contrary to the expectation of due process, as well as the honor of political competitiveness.
Dr. Abayomi, some people believe that you were just aggrieved because you lost the support of Asiwaju Tinubu because he was not going to support you. And I saw some of the response and some of the reactions that you wrote to him about how bitter you were that for some of the closeness that you had with him, you were surprised that he was not going to support you, and that's why you raised an alarm.
Well, he also raised that in his letter to me. But if you recall, I responded that I have never asked for his support. My view is that if I'm going to serve the people of Ondo State, and I think this should be the preoccupation of every aspirant, you should concentrate in asking for the support of the people of Ondo State. I have only discussed with him only twice the issue of Ondo governorship, and I cited the two examples. The first time was when he invited me in the presence of a very close friend to him and a citizen of Ondo State, and that is Chief Pius Akinyelure, to formally notify me of the, imposition, you might say, in 2012 of Rotimi Akeredolu, who is also running now. And of course, I made my position clear. It was a 3-hour dialogue, and you might say 3-hour disagreement. I maintained my position then that I consider it inappropriate if I'm running for. If you are reading for exam, quite a number of you, and then before you get into the exam hall, and then you are told that somebody is first in the exam that you have not actually taken, I consider that inappropriate. The other time was when I was actually comforting him, you might say, after losing that election, after all the energy and the resources he committed to it. Those are the only 2 times I ever discussed Ondo State. I have never asked for anybody's support.
Let's come to this one.
Yes.
The man you claimed that was going to be imposed by Asiwaju Tinubu, Mr. Segun Abraham.
Yes.
That's the man, isn't it?
Yes, and he's from my federal constituency.
How close are you to Asiwaju Tinubu?
We are very good friends, quite close.
So but you disagree each time he was not going to endorse you as a candidate?
No, it's not. I disagree. I never.
But you see him as a man who always wants to impose. I mean, that comes out in your submission that I've read earlier.
Well, on the 2 occasions, because the first time we had discussed this extensively, and the disagreement lasted for a period of 3 hours, and I maintained the position that is, in my view, inappropriate to do that. He did that, you know. Now we're talking about it again. My thinking is that the parties ought to have, just as individuals within the party, ought to learn the lessons of change. And one of the lessons of change, in my view, is to ensure that, look, if we did it in the past, and it, led largely into a perfect situation, we lost that election when we needed not to have lost it, then I think that now we ought to make a difference. I think Abraham Lincoln said, you cannot, bring about change if you walk on a beaten path. You've got to burn and thirst for distinction. And I think the distinction we need is to ensure the due process, which in any case accords with the expectation of almost everybody.
Mr. Akeredolu, of course, you have also said that it was imposed in 2012. Yes. This time around, who imposed him? Who is supporting him?
Akeredolu right now is, when I raise this issue, we are now, in a sense, forced to go through due process. We have held a number of meetings in order to ensure that the process is free and fair and free from undue influence. We would not have succeeded to achieve that. Now we have a primary that raised essentially a candidate, and I believe that primary has done very well in bringing about a candidate. You see, the problem of...
You've not told me who imposed Akeredolu.
When? Now or before?
Now.
No, there's no imposition about Akeredolu.
Because we understand that Mr. Akeredolu fell out with Mr. Tinubu. Is that true?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm not aware.
But he doesn't have his support right now.
Well, so I do not know what the intricacies between them. Because, not sure.
we are relying on the benefit of your closeness with Chief Bola Tinubu.
Yes.
That you are close with him.
Yes.
You probably could tell us whether or not Mr. Akeredolu has fallen out with him.
Well, I know there's some form of disagreement in the Congress regarding, for example, who should be the legal advisor of the party. I think there's a preference that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu had, which obviously was not acceptable to Akeredolu. But these are just minor issues in my view. You could disagree with your friend, without becoming disagreeable. I don't think the issue of imposition is relevant now with reference to Rotimi Akeredolu.
Let's now come to the issue. This primary that saw the emergence of Rotimi Akeredolu,
yes.
Is it a fair process?
Yes, very fair. Very fair in my view.
And you can stand tall and talk about this as a fair exercise.
Yes.
Okay, because some of the things I'm going to show you
yes.
are probably going to, some of these are disturbing
yes.
and maybe contradictory to some of the things that you... Yes. Let me quickly show you the response of one of the aspirants in this race.